Oh my.
Hey internets! It's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain. Look, I'm down here in the corner. Again.
We don't have Ted on the screen yet.
Oh, that's because I'm hiding him because he was missing.
I mean, we have Ted on the screen, but not.
We just want to remind everybody that he's a werewolf. Anyway, yes, right next to Ted, that's me. We're still in the Jeremy arc. What did we say we were calling it?
Witches of November.
The Witches of November arc.
Ooh, yeah.
And tonight is episode. Why did the it didn't change on the bottom like it was supposed to? It's supposed to be Ghosts of Gitche Gumee.
You have to be careful not changing your bottoms, Jake.
We are coming in hot tonight. Welcome to Mini Terrain Domain. While Jake does his shit, check us out on teespring.com. You might as well. At teespring.com, we have all kinds of great t-shirts with new logos and all kinds of stuff for both your fantasy-oriented and your other TTRPG games. We can get stuff on stickers and hoodies and tank tops and t-shirts and so much more. Teespring.com. Just search Mini Terrain Domain.
And there's new designs, relatively new designs available, so you can check those out. All right, this is episode 18, Ghosts of Gitche Gumee. It probably won't show on your screen unless you refresh, but nonetheless, that's the title of this episode. I'm going to breeze through some announcements. I'm going to remind you that this is just a quick content warning. This is we tend to stray mostly into horror and weirdly into body horror of some specificity. Hashtag hand stuff. But there are other mature themes that happen: adult language, violence, subject matter such as bullying, alcohol and drug use and abuse, divorce, things like that. You can type hashtag audience to learn more about that stuff. But know that we have safety tools in place. The safety tools command has already been activated. Check that out. We use session zeros and traffic light safety tools. We encourage you to do the same at your own games. Safety tools and safety at the table are extremely important. We encourage you to use those. Be sure to check out our other shows on Monday night. We've been off for a couple weeks. We're expecting to return this Monday with episode 100 of Scribes and Scrolls, and 100 is we're in that final countdown. We don't know yet exactly how many episodes, but there's only a couple episodes left. And then, of course, we just had, 2 nights ago, our most recent episode 16, I believe, of Sky Metal Iron Gods. And it was an exciting one, a full session of combat that, not even just a full session of combat. We stopped in the middle of combat in the previous session. So it was like more than a session of combat. It's a really good one. You want to go check that out. You can check out all of our games on VODs over on youtube.com/Mini Terrain Domain. And if you happen to be a fan of the first stream we ever did, if you've been here that long, and you remember Jolt of Personality, all episodes are now available on YouTube. I finally, 3 years after the game ended, finally got all of the episodes posted up on YouTube, so you can check those out. The last thing I want to mention before I turn things over to our game master is just to remind you that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference whether you believe it or not. It's true. There's any number of reasons why you might be struggling, or maybe you just need somebody to talk to, whatever that may be. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to find somebody to talk to. Simply type !help, or you can look down below. It'll show up from time to time at the bottom of the stream. And you can check out findahelpline.com, or check out the growing list of resources at takethis.org. we encourage you to check those out, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. I did forget one thing. Quick mention, look up above M and Tomiko. You'll notice the brilliant red, white, and blue bomb pops, or as we call them, the domain treats. Nope.
Terrain treats, domain pops.
Terrain treats, domain pops. +1 the fun. I gave them their name and I still can't get it right.
Mouthful.
Anyway, we get those when you subscribe, resubscribe, gift subs, cheer 500 bits, tip $5. Any of that stuff will earn those for us. In fact, I owe us one for 47 months from Monty DL. Thank you, Monty DL, for that sub. And when we use the bomb pops, the domain pops, of course, they sound like this. Everybody's favorite. So remember, the only way we can get those is from you. And we get to use them for cool things like adding +1 or plus however many to our rolls, or we can force ourselves or anybody else to roll on a D100 mystery grab bag table where only good things happen unless they're bad. With that, speaking of bad things, I'm going to turn things over to Jeremy. See what I did there, Jeremy? One of your classic segues.
I see.
Oh, with that, I would like to welcome you all to Paradise Academy. And now I turn it over.
There it is.
To Jeremy.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is session 3 of the Witches of November. So, I think without further ado, we can go ahead and get started. The gales of November had come early, slashing at the mighty Fitz as it was tossed about on the waves like a bone to be chewed. With each gust of whipping snowfall... What was that?
Nobody said anything.
With each gust of whipping snowfall and each enormous crash of spray, it was as if the black waters of Lake Superior were trying to steal the very lives of those on board. A predator with a greedy appetite. Within the belly of the ship, we see men struggling to keep themselves upright as they scramble to stem the hemorrhage of water that now inundated her innards. As the minutes turn into hours for these sailors, there is no time for prayer. For them, the love of God has gone. We find ourselves elsewhere in the ship, nearer to the aft, as the ship is slammed into sideways, hard, jarring everyone on board into the wall. Everything blacks for a second. A second wave hits the ship, knocking it from the same direction and causing it to list dangerously far to the side. Any of you who had been slammed against the wall before are now pressed against the very same wall as if it were the ground, as if gravity were taking you into the side of the ship. The lights flicker again, throwing everyone into darkness. A third wave hits, and you feel yourselves rolling along that wall towards what was the ceiling moments before. And the ship makes a tremendous groan that starts at the beginning of the ship and makes its way down through the entire length. And you can feel it, that Doppler effect, as it comes and passes over you and through your body. Suddenly, the ship rights itself and comes cresting off of one of the other waves and crashes back down, throwing you all to the floor once again. We see from the outside this moment repeat itself. One wave, then another, and then a third, a phenomenon known locally as the Three Sisters, a series of rogue waves that hit and inundate a ship until it simply cannot stay afloat any longer. We watch the first wave wash water across the deck, and before it can even drain, the second wave crashes over the side of the ship and the gunnel and starts to flood the deck side compartments. And then before it can even start to turn right, a third wave crashes up and over the ship, and for a moment, the midsection of the ship completely disappears underneath the surface of the water, leaving only these two ends that look like they could very well belong to completely different vessels. Finally, the ship rights itself again, more or less, crests this wave, hits, and we see a fracture in the spine of this ship. We see pieces of the hull just splinter apart. Last time, everybody rolled grit checks, I believe. Thank you, Tamiko, for scoring this for us. Okay.
Oh, I remember this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. I was pissed because my D20 is my freaking grit, and I got a 1. I very, very clearly remember this now.
I would like to spend 40 domain pops, please.
I'm gonna live, damn it.
So it looks like Rosie and Billy are going to suffer a physical consequence. With what I had described, I will let the two of you kind of tell us what that is, how it manifests itself in the situation.
So you say we kind of got like oh Jesus! I became Billy for a second. I became Ted. I'm back. Anyway, you said we got kind of like tossed against the like bulkhead area, like okay.
Yeah, against the walls, ceiling, you name it.
I think probably Rosie, like, I think as Rosie got thrown against this like wall, she feels like a pop, like right here. And she's pretty sure that she might have broken her collarbone, because that's kind of how it happens when you get like jostled, like kind of boom. I think that it's pretty bad.
So you know the nice little iron ties that they loop everything to on boats? I'm pretty sure that as Billy was unable to keep his footing, he smacked his head on one of those. So he's borderline concussed.
Cleats, they're called.
No shit.
There you go, cleats. I smacked my head into a cleat.
That's your nautical fun fact of the day. Welcome to Mini Terrain Domain.
I don't know why I know that.
Okay. So we've seen that Rosie and Billy are a little worse for wear from this, but what about everyone else? As you're kind of recovering from being almost rolled over entirely, what's happening in the aftermath of that?
So the ship is righted itself, but there's also the ship is righted itself, but there's a lot of water around, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, any compartment that you would be in currently, you're probably at least knee to thigh deep in water at this point.
So we're trying to get up the steps, or are we trying to get across the deck?
The bridge had been indicated to be above you. You would know that it would be probably one of the highest levels that you could get to, and you had come to the back of the ship to find the staircase that would be able to take you up there.
All right, so I'm just at the back, dazed, but I'm trying to get everybody moving forward. Probably yelling slightly incoherently.
I imagine also, especially with kind of what you described, slamming your head into, you might even have like a trickle of blood.
Oh yeah,
since you're all soaked now, so it's definitely kind of like, a wet head wound is just, a recipe for it looks really, really, really bad.
Rosie's just like groaning and gritting her teeth.
I think despite having maybe a broken or at least a sprained ankle, Jessica is faring pretty okay after this roll that happened. She managed, I think, to like brace and kind of wedge herself on something so that when the boat moved, she wasn't kind of tossed around as much. I do think that when she sees that Rosie took a little bit more of a tumble, she would kind of still bracing on, I imagine, to some pipe or something. She would reach out to Rosie, kind of help her up and like that kind of like forearm to forearm, kind of like helping and steadying Rosie. Are you okay?
I mean, I guess I will be, but not right now. And Rosie she I think takes Jessica's hand and eventually gets back to her feet and is just kind of like in a lot of pain, but also looking around frantically, like trying to take inventory of everybody else too.
I feel like Coop, because if I'm remembering this correctly, because Coop had injured his arm earlier, Billy was kind of helping him navigate some of the stairs and such. So I feel like when we started to get knocked around, I feel like Billy would have cushioned and broken some of Coop's impacts. So thanks for that. But Coop is going to shakily stand up and be like, "Oh my gosh, that was terrible." And Billy stands up and he's shouting for everybody to move. And Coop's like, "Yeah, we should move." And he looks up at Billy and sees all the blood. He's like,
"Oh,
beans! You got hurt really bad, Billy."
No time to worry about that. We got to get out of this water. We got to get out of here.
But you're bleeding like a lot. Like a lot.
Head wounds just do that.
And you're talking funny.
Amazing.
Coop didn't laugh. Just
no. Oh my god, that's awesome. That's amazing.
I imagine at that point, Claire comes sloshing through the water, wearing these waders and this oversized coat, and is digging into her pockets where she's ostensibly shoved her purse into the pocket of this thing, and kind of looks up at Billy and looks back around everybody else and just says, if you're gonna be leading us, we need you to not be bleeding out. And then kind of, I guess she would almost kind of shield maybe Coop, turning her back to Coop a little bit, and just kind of pull out something and go, just hold this against your head, and give you a maxi pad. It's in my inventory.
Amazing.
I am far from bleeding out, but thank you.
I think Oak, in his distraction, because understand this is a 12-year-old kid who has now seen basically ghosts, thinks this is a pirate ship, is kind of living like his best paranormal life right now. And then all of a sudden that happens. I think in the distraction, like Oak gets tossed around and it's a weird vibe. But when he comes back to like wherever he lands, wherever that is, he is in this headspace of trying to find like orienting himself, trying to figure out where they're at, but also like not wanting to ever experience that again. So he's like, okay, oh, you can see he is absolutely soaked. Like he went under the water like a otter, like, and got completely like washered out of that, and then comes bobbing out of the water like a buoy. Okay, so let's not have that happen again. Oh God. Okay, where are we going, and what's happening? Everybody okay?
Up. We gotta get up.
Up and out. Okay, sounds good. Which way's up?
Honestly, that's a great question right now. This ship is on its side. So Rosie kind of like orients and goes, that way, let's go.
Slosh, slosh, slosh.
I think we're all doing that like high water walk.
I feel sorry for the girls in dresses. They're gonna absorb a lot of water.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
Was it Rosie or Jessica that we both got the waders and the jacket?
Oh,
you and Rosie.
Okay, I couldn't remember who.
It wasn't
Jessica?
me.
It's Jessica and Claire. Yeah.
Rosie is leaving on her pretty dress. Jessica's pretty dress.
Okay. You'll head up several more flights, and partway up one of the staircases, it goes dark, and it stays dark. It plunges you all into pitch black.
I have dark vision. I'm just kidding.
The kind of darkness that you're kind of thrown into suddenly is jarring, and you become acutely aware of, again, the noises and the sensations that you're feeling through this ship. All of those things become amplified the moment that you no longer have anything to see. And you can tell that the angle of the floor under your feet is just not quite right. But instead of kind of rolling from one side to the other like it seems to have been doing mainly, you can tell that there is a distinct pitch in the floor back towards the midship. And you
so it's
can
pitching
hear...
forward?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
This fucker is breaking in half.
Right. Yeah, you can hear a noise that is different now. It's, instead of it being the moans and the pops of like metal kind of slowly being twisted, this is like a screech, like metal is being like sheared somewhere in the ship. For the moment, you are in pitch black.
Coop grabs onto the shirt of whoever's nearby, just so he doesn't lose people. And he's going to say, everybody grab onto somebody!
Rosie reaches forward and does the same to whoever's right in front of her.
Yeah,
I imagine...
I think... Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I think Jessica's already holding on to Rosie.
Perfect.
And I have a feeling, I don't know why I thought Jessica is probably in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like somewhere where Jessica would be.
Right. So, stupid question, but are we carrying Laz and
No.
We
We
Carson?
put 'em in
stashed
life
them.
vests.
Yes.
Or life,
Oh
the
my.
boys, yes.
Back through towards the door, or right next to the door that you entered the ship from.
Mm-hmm.
So are they underwater?
Who knows?
I guess we'll have to see.
Oh my.
Oh boy.
Carson's gonna die.
I just imagine that when Coop reached out to grab whoever was nearest him, it was Claire, and she screams.
Awesome. Perfection.
So who's at the front of our pack?
Sounds like it's
Jessica.
Jessica
And I'd be kind of being like pulled along, and yeah.
Imagine Jessica's like has like the one hand on Rosie, the other's like blindly just kind of like swiping ahead of her.
And you feel Rosie like clutching like hard. Like Rosie's pretty scared, and she's like definitely leaning on Jessica, if only figuratively, in this situation.
Jessica, do you want me to come up front?
Can you see with your like wolf eyes or whatever?
Your wolf eyes see.
Really? What do your wolven eyes see?
I think if I transformed, I could see better, but I don't know if that's what you all want.
Well, no. You hear that? Like, yeah, Jessica's like, no offense. If you change and you can see and we can't, I think we would have bigger things to worry about than just the water. It'd be like that movie, and she doesn't elaborate.
I've been taking lessons to control it, but all right. Well, we gotta move forward. So take slow steps and keep moving because we gotta get out.
I think right now, realizing that it was Coop, Claire is clutching onto Coop like Andy clutching onto Mikey, and is starting to break her inner voice. I don't want to die. I'm too young to die. Why did I end up with you guys? This is not how homecoming was supposed to go.
Oh God.
I think it's so interesting that like Claire has been cordoned off from the other big kids by this little fence of little kids. So it's like
right.
It's like Coop in the back with Claire and Oak, and then Oak is trailing Billy. So it's like the two of them. And I think Oak just says, "Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody thought that was a good turnout for how homecoming was supposed to go. But like, hey, we're gonna get out of this. It's gonna be all right. And if you ask me, so far, none of us are dead. Everything's cool. There's ghost pirates. Claire, it's actually like something I've always wanted to experience. This is cool to me."
I have a question.
Not everybody's excited about the ghosts.
Did we? Yeah, right. Do we know that Oak's fucking date was the one that did the EMP?
I have not mentioned that yet, but if someone were to have that conversation with me,
okay.
Yes, I would.
Nobody's pissed yet, then.
No one's angry yet.
Super.
I think, as if on cue of like Oak mentioning the ghost pirates, there's like and a ghost pirate literally falls through the ceiling and through the room, through the floor, and you moments later hear a splash.
Oh Jesus.
Do they produce their own light and that's the way we see them, or do we just hear
as a matter
splash?
of fact. They have a strange green glow to them.
Oh my God. It's like SpongeBob. Did they produce enough light for us to see for a second the rest of this hallway?
Yes. He did.
Nice.
I think Jessica would use the temporary light to like pull Rosie like just forward, just like as much as we are able to see and know that it's safe. Jessica just like books it.
Perfect. I go.
All right. So you charge up the remaining stairs or at the end of this hallway, and you continue on. For long, still in total darkness, where we, as the audience, can see that this ship is now totally and completely adrift on the waves. There is no directing this to hit a wave in the best manner possible. It is spinning about, just at the whim of the elements. This is the death knell of the Edmonds Fitzgerald. There is no question about it, for anybody who can see what is going on the outside. Everything on board is still dark. We can see, again, as the audience, that there are compartments that are now completely flooding in this ship, and it is riding lower and lower in these stormy waters. You find yourselves nearing a room with an open door, an open bulkhead, and you can hear conversation. You can see a little bit from the glow of the moon and the stars. There is a conversation that is taking place up ahead, and you're fairly certain that this might be the bridge.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Jessica wastes no time, like not like pausing to hear what's being said on anything of the conversation. She wants to get out, so.
Okay. You burst through the bulkhead, which we just discussed before we went live about bursting through doors.
This is a great idea.
What could go wrong?
You burst through into the bridge, and there's probably like a long moment where you're having to kind of try to understand exactly what is going on here. Again, it's dimly lit in this room, and there's chaos happening outside of the windows that you can see out of. Just the horizon itself is constantly undulating and changing. There's snow that's gathered and ice all over the outside of the windows. But you see a man who is back against a wall. He looks terrified. He looks frightened, but not of the storm outside or the situation that he's in because of the ship. There's 3 other individuals in this room, and you can't really tell where their dark draped clothes, like their cloaks that they seem to be wearing, and the water, like where one ends and one begins. They have a strange green glow to them as well. Not dissimilar from the fog that you saw before you went through the Stapler's gates to get here. When you
Do they have any brass on them?
They do not.
Brass knuckles.
They do now. When you catch the face of one of them, you recognize this individual as Nikki, one of the 3 sisters that worked the bookshop. The 3 of them have this individual, who you're guessing is the captain, backed against the wall, terrified, and they seem to be taking turns asking him questions. And apparently when they're not happy with the answer, they put their hand forward towards him, and you watch as his face seems to almost stretch, and then dematerialize into wisps into their open hands, and they seem to they're taking turns and cycling through this, and he's getting weaker and weaker and weaker.
Uh-oh. Oh, God. I'm with Jessica. Do I see this as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, anybody who comes as far as like the bulkhead into the room would be able to see this.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, Chad. I think Rosie sees like one round of this and doesn't think and just kind of goes, "Hey!" like loud, like trying to like snap the scene out.
You see the three individuals stop what they're doing and spin around. Two of them, again, you recognize as Nikki and Christina. The third, who you're guessing must be Tammy, has her hand kind of held somewhat in front of her face, and she's holding a glass float. They used to use them a long time ago to hold nets as a buoyant, and you can tell that this has been in the water. It's got like, you know, corrosion and stuff on it, but where she's holding it up kind of to her forehead, you can see inside of that what looks like an iris and a pupil, like looking around and settling on the group of you.
Oh. Rosie immediately regrets her decision.
You also notice Oak.
Yep.
Are you in the back or are you up front?
I'm
this situation.
I'm probably, let's see, Jessica, Rosie, Billy, Oak. So I'd be
third from the end.
Third from the end. So yeah. I'm not that far away, but if I could sneak up and look in, yeah, I'd be eager to move up and see. So, if possible.
So, it's when Oak moves up behind the front group of you that the captain kind of looks towards all of you, and when his eyes settle on Oak, he goes, "Oh no."
Oh God.
Okay. I wasn't scared before. I am now.
The three individuals in their dark, dripping, like draped clothing look to the group of you and they say, there's another has come. Maybe we deal with both. Maybe we deal with all. They seem to be like talking amongst themselves, but also finishing one another's sentences.
No.
Can you be like a little less creepy? And help us get off of this boat? Or tell us how to get off of this boat?
One of them says, "Sister, let me see the eye." And the other one takes this orb that she's holding up against her forehead and passes it to the other, who then takes it and immediately puts it up. And again, you see this eye reform inside of it, and it looks at you, Jessica, and she takes like 3 steps towards you. We have another fractured one. Maybe someday she would be like us.
As this woman starts to approach Jessica, I would definitely stand in between.
Whenever you get in between, Billy, she stops and takes like a step back and hisses, "He's touched by Mother Night."
I'm gonna second Jessica and ask you to stop being so creepy and help us get off this boat. We are definitely not supposed to be here.
Maybe you are supposed to be here. Maybe it has been orchestrated. Maybe it has been written.
I'm pretty sure it's just a big misunderstanding. We're just trying to get off. If you got like a dinghy or like a lifeboat or something, we'll go on that. You can stay here. We'll just get off and leave. You're good.
I thought we were looking for the green door.
The green door is what brought you here.
Is there like another green door that can get us out of here? How did you guys get here?
She doesn't understand. You are here because we want you here. This is exactly where you are supposed to be.
Why do you want us here?
so that you can join those who sleep.
Nope.
No, thank
Rosie
you.
finds an object. She wants to find something to use as defense, please. Is there like a freaking broom or any like fire extinguisher or anything defensible?
Yeah, absolutely. There's probably at the very least, like a pretty hefty fire extinguisher, I would imagine, somewhere nearby.
Yeah, Rosie grabs that and is just kind of hanging on to it. I don't like that join the ones who sleep thing one bit.
Anybody else have a reaction worth note in this situation?
What do you mean by the ones who sleep?
The dead. Those from the deep.
You want us dead?
Oh, yes. We cannot have those who control time wandering around freely. No. That is our task.
So we used to be allies, and now you're going to be our enemy?
It is written.
That makes no sense.
If they look to be distracted at all, Jessica wants to, like, how is the captain looking other than not great?
Very weak, very concerned, in particular about Oak. He's kind of trying to scramble a little bit more to his feet, and he looks like he's trying to make a decision about something. Like he's contemplating making some kind of a decision.
Yeah, I think Jessica's like wants to kind of make eye contact with this guy just to see if they can, and she's going to, as Billy is talking with them, she's going to start slowly inching her way towards the women. And her intention is to, if any like big action happens, she wants to go for that eye that they have, but she's waiting kind of for the best moment, I guess, when there's like a big distraction. But that's her intention.
Anybody else?
Do I see Jessica? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm looking to just see if they're gonna do anything. I'm preparing to act, and last resort, I'm willing to wolf out.
Does Rosie? I don't know what kind of a role I would make to figure this out, or maybe I don't know. Does Rosie see? Can she kind of sense what Jessica's doing, like slowly making a move? I mean, it seems kind of like it's like, let's talk baseball. It seems like she's like leading off a base, like being sneaky, getting ready to like make a run for it. It's the same vibes.
Yeah, I would say so.
Then Rosie moves away from Jessica.
Okay. Okay. The two of you, Jessica and Rosie, kind of part and start to make your way around kind of the flanks of where these three are. One of them kind of turns in your direction and kind of notices, and she says, "Sure what you do? Are you sure that you wish to take this course of action?"
Well, we have no intention of dying here this evening.
Maybe not all of you will. Maybe one of you could live.
One is not acceptable.
Maybe the one who is kissed by Mother Night. And one of the sisters reaches up and moves her hand, and we see the clouds part. And that full moon shines in right through the
Oh
windows
no!
directly onto you, Billy.
Oh no! It's like that TikTok audio from Planet of the Apes. Like, oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
So does it force me to change, or do you know?
Let's
they-
let's get a roll. Let's see what happens.
What do you want me to roll here, sir?
I think it's got to be a grit.
All right, and grit is mental, correct?
In this situation, definitely.
Yeah, nothing like a D12 minus 5. All right, I'm gonna spend 2 pops. I rolled an 8, so that'll be a 5.
Hey, that's not bad. Good job, Ted.
5 total.
5 total, yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'd set the DC at a 10.
Okay.
Because this is full blown straight moonlight in through this window.
Sure.
Mainlining.
Yeah, right. So Ted, what do we see happen? What happens?
So, I mean, it's been a while since Billy is fully transformed. Say goodbye to very expensive suit. As it's very much a Hulk moment. The body grows and swells as hair bursts out of every orifice. His arms grow longer. He develops these long claws. The snout comes out. Just like the transformations that you would see in that Lycan movie. And I've been taking training to control it, so I'm hoping I retain some semblance of who I am, but that's for you to decide.
Let's get a brains roll.
Of course you say that.
Oh no.
Well, because now that I'm a werewolf, it's not my best die anymore.
Didn't your mental
explosion?
What perfect for? Oh.
Your mental consequence end once you transformed?
Yes, my mental consequence goes away because I have transformed. But my brains drops to a D4, so I exploded. I have a 6.
Okay. So for the moment, Billy is in control, not the beast.
Okay.
So as Billy is wolfing out, what are the other 5 of you doing?
Claire screams again.
All right.
Thanks, Claire. Thank you. Another country heard from. Rosie's holding her fire extinguisher and just like frantically glancing back and forth, and
so
yeah.
I think
so. As this happens, like I kind of, look back mainly to Coop and Oak, and in a much deeper voice than Billy would have, he'll say, "Stay back," and that should hopefully signal to everybody that I'm in a little bit more control, as I will turn my glower to the witches.
What were you saying?
I think Jessica is going to. I think this is a moment of distraction. Has she noticed if the I almost called him the pilot. The
Captain.
It's not
captain.
It's not
there
incorrect.
we go.
Okay.
What's our vector, Victor?
Yeah, is the captain has he moved at all or done anything? Has he decided on what he was deciding on?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. He steps forward, and kind of says, I'll stay. If you let the rest of them go, I will stay. You can have me.
Buddy.
And one of the sisters turns to him.
And the hourglass. Where is the hourglass of regret?
Jesus. Oh,
He
God.
shakes his head. I told you, I don't know. I don't know. But you can take me. They seem to kind of like huddle together and talk amongst themselves.
Does the panicked man have a little bit of a southern twang to his voice? I'm just curious.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. After Billy turns and says, "Stay back," Coop is going to kind of grab Screaming Claire and Oak and kind of move us off to kind of try to corral everybody kind of back and possibly behind something.
Yeah, I imagine that there's probably like a small half wall where the actual wheel, the actual helm of the ship is probably located in, that kind of faces the front windows of the ship. So at the very least, you could like kind of run and duck down behind that.
I will growl at the witches. Tell us how we get out.
Do not leave this place. You do not. This is where all the lines are severed.
Including yours?
No. We make the threads. We do not obey the rest of the rules the way that you must. We determine.
Are you sure about that?
Rosie's inching up
Willing to
behind
risk
one of
it?
these bitches.
There will be no one who escapes this ship alive. No
All right,
one.
I lunge in her neck.
All right.
All at the same fucking time, I'm gonna bash.
And Jessica wants to go for that orb.
Wonder
Okay.
triplets activate.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Fuck yeah.
I would
Well
like
orchestrated team.
a flight or
Plan.
fight. Manager's choice. For each of you, please.
Fight or flight. I'll do fight, and I do have a -2 because my collarbone is broken. Unless it's stitched
Mine?
together already, because I'm the unbreakable. Anybody? No? That's fair.
I mean,
Okay.
it is kind of your superpower.
Do I could I do like a -1 penalty instead of a -2?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect. We'll go there.
It is healing.
It's healing. Got it.
Okay. I have a
Hey! Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I have a -2 from my foot,
Yes.
I believe.
Mhm.
But can I use my rank in tank
Oh yeah, absolutely.
as Jessica is like, yeah,
Oh,
strong
in that
and
case,
tall.
in that
I also same.
I have tank, so
yes,
that makes me a 10.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Is
Three
the
tanks.
rank in tank is it plus what?
+1.
Oh, sick. Okay, so that cancels out my physical penalty. Awesome. I got an 11.
Jessica rolled a 17 for fight.
Holy shit. Okay. All three of you describe what it's like as you win this contest of surprise or physical force, and at least for the time being, for the moment, are able to overpower all three of these sisters. And Jessica, you managed to get the orb.
Oh.
So whichever one I went after, I went for her throat with my mouth. Rawr.
Excellent.
Is that the sound you made?
Rawr.
Rawr.
Rah, rah, rah. Biting your throat.
Billy
Chomp, chomp,
Stapler,
chomp.
Teen Wolf. Rawr.
Rawr.
Rosie just reels back and bashes one of these ladies in the back of the head and as like hard as she can.
It's the 1970s. You know that's a big old stainless steel.
That's what I'm saying. It's like one of the big like brass ones. Yeah, it's just boof hard.
And Jessica, I imagine the one that Rosie hit had the orb, and so as she's reeling back, I imagine her arm goes back, and in that instant, Jessica grabs her arm and like wrenches it backwards, forcing her to like reflexively open up her hand. And Jessica grabs the orb and wants to get the hell back and is like kind of like holding it like really close to her chest.
The one that you've kind of taken it from like screams,
She's taking the eye! She's taking the eye! We must have it back!
They seem very intent on this not staying the case.
Then you let us go. You tell us how to get. You tell us how to like get out. She like.
So, when Rosie and Billy's attacks land, Rosie, you strike with this fire extinguisher, and like, either this worked way better than you thought that it would have, or something strange is happening. But whenever you slam into the back of her head, there's very little resistance whatsoever. Instead, there is a wet like splash that like erupts from the place where you hit. Billy, whenever you bite, again, it's almost like you bit into the largest gusher you've ever found. Like it's just
God,
lake water in your mouth.
Oh no.
Does the eye feel solid? Or does it also feel squishy?
No, it does feel solid. It feels like hollow glass. So it feels delicate, but not.
It's like a Christmas ornament.
Yeah, a little heavier than that, but yeah, the right kind of idea. It's got a little bit of weight to it, but it's definitely hollow on the inside. And to you, it just feels like a kind of crusty glass ball. Doesn't feel special at all.
Rosie backs up, kind of horror stricken by this. If I may, are you?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
And she just like kind of shakes her head, and she like looks at Jess, and she's like, "Fucking break it, Jess. Slam it into the wall or something if they want it back so bad."
Stomp on it like you're in a Jewish wedding. Go,
Spike that fucker, Jess.
You see, like, Jess is looking at the women like really intently, and she is going to like raise it up and just like hold it for a moment.
You know what happens when something shatters, don't you? Don't you?
Jess, just do it. Just do it.
They know the way out.
They're not going to tell us.
One became two. Two could just as easily become three. Remember that before you break that eye.
Let us out.
If you give us the eye, we will leave. You may have your own. We have your own ways to get back home. Ways that you have used so far. You know how you need to return. You must find the door. The green door with the brass fittings.
Yes, where is it?
You've already seen it. You've already been through it. That's how you came.
You said a minute ago that wasn't it. That there was like another one.
Perhaps we lie.
Perhaps you're lying now. Just fucking break it.
Maybe we are. No. No, don't shatter that.
Jeremy, meanwhile, while this conversation is happening, I just want to say that I am Metal Gear Soliding through this.
you look like a cardboard box.
There's a cardboard box moving across
as I slowly skitter around this bridge, being like,
what was that noise?
They said something about an hourglass. They said something about a thumping. I'm gonna solve it. I'm gonna find a solution.
Oak is on the case.
Yeah, Oak is on the case while the
Absolutely.
distractions are happening. So whatever I need to do that, please allow me to interject whenever.
Yeah, absolutely. Please roll me a, I think brains.
Sweet. Okay, so I rolled a 17 on the dicer.
Okay. Oak, you keep low. You're moving kind of around the room as best you can, as quick as you can. Again, the ship is still moving around, still rolling, and it's chaotic. It's impossible to predict where it could be thrown next. But eventually, you kind of like put your hand out to steady yourself, and you realize that it feels different than the rest of the paneling and stuff that you've kind of been moving along. And you realize that this is a metal safe door. And the place where the key goes, it looks very similar in design to a key that you were given. Only there is no patina on this lock.
Okay. Yeah, my brain doesn't have to take too long to put two and two together. I flip and turn the skeleton key in any which direction it needs to go until I feel it give purchase and see if it unlocks it.
So you put this key in, and you have to kind of push a little because of the corrosion and stuff that's on this key. But when you get it kind of pushed all the way in, it turns without any problem whatsoever. There's no doubt that this key specifically went to this lock. And as you turn it, the front of the safe opens, and you can see a lot of things that you might expect to find, like a ship's ledger, maybe a few personal effects. But there's one thing in particular that stands out to you, and it's hanging on a hook on the back wall of the safe. There is a small hourglass pendant.
Ooh.
Okay. Paper's gonna be completely dissolved by the water, so that's gone. That's out and about. Anything that is physically able to be carried, especially that necklace pendant, I'm gonna tuck that inside my shirt collar. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna wear it. Tuck it inside the shirt collar below behind the bow tie. I'm gonna tuck it in behind that, and then slowly snail crawl my way back to Claire and Coop. Be like,
The sisters still attempt to plead, threaten, whatever the case may be, Jessica and the shattering of this eye.
Where is the door? She says again. And no riddles. I have the orb, she says, like frustrated, like
I have the power here, damn it.
Yeah. This isn't fair. She's throwing a little 16-year-old temper tantrum.
So, is the one who I've got in my grasp reacting in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, so again, like, it's almost like they seem to be comprised of water. So when you're like latching on to them, it's impossible to to keep a firm hold. Every time you bite down, again, you get nothing but like a mouth of water. It's almost like you bit into a water balloon. And
But they're not panicked about it.
They don't seem to be. And again, like, you get the impression that they're not overly concerned because they're not really here.
All right, so I'll basically turn to Jessica and like, look, this was the end here. Maybe we go back to the other door. Let's just go.
Jessica is still looking at them, giving them one last chance. If they don't answer, well, she's smashing it. She's going to follow Rosie's advice.
The door where you left your two friends, your companions. The other one, much like all of you. And the second, a nobody. Where you tucked them away safely, that's where you'll find the door that you must return to. He knows the way.
And all three of them in unison point to Oak.
Can they see me? They just point in that general direction.
we see Oak's little, like, hunched over body, like, disappear around the little half wall again.
He's so scared.
I'm just occasionally prairie dogging over the little box. Just.
2 more weeks of winter.
Jessica looks to Rosie.
And Rosie would kind of like look at Jess and just say, "They're lying. Nothing bad's gonna happen."
One of them extends their hand out towards the middle of the ship and closes her fist, and you hear again this as the metal of the ship groans under the weight of further waves.
I want to lunge again and frickin' try to hit him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, go ahead. Hit him.
I lunge. I try to frickin' swing at this bitch again.
Okay. Anybody else?
Jessica is going to yell at everyone else to, like, run back, like, out of this area, the deck, and back to that other door. But as she does so, when she yells that, Jessica takes one last look at Rosie and nods and is going to, like, smash that eye.
Yeah, hell yeah, screw you. Nice.
The moment the eye hits a hard surface and shatters, all three of the sisters reach for it and scream, "No!" And then they are all three of them at once, they become water again and crash with the rest of the spray that is happening outside the ship, and then soon are drained from the room entirely.
Let's go.
As you do this, the captain rushes forward and leans over like this half wall towards where Oak is hiding. "I can't go with you. You know why. But please, I beg you, please rescue my crew."
Rescue your crew?
Take them with you.
Okay.
We'll take who we can. We have to move quickly.
Right. Let's go. Come on.
Wait, where would they be? How do we get there? We've only seen one person.
Yeah, only one salvageable crew member so far, so I wouldn't know if... Would Oak know right now? Would he know outside of the one person? would I know if there's more people on this ship? Would I know, or would I be able to have seen during this passage if there's other actual living people on the ship? Not the ghost pirates, but the living people.
You would know that a ship this size would have to be crewed by more than two people.
Sure.
Beyond a doubt.
Okay.
If Oak happens to know anything in particular about the Edmund Fitzgerald, he would know that there are approximately 30 people on board.
Okay. We're on the bridge. Quick question. Is there like an alarm bell on the bridge that would be used in case of emergency?
There would be. However, there is absolutely no power on the ship at all.
I'm pretty sure they also know that there's an emergency going on.
Possibly. Thank God, the alarm's going off. Now we know.
Is there an honest to goodness bell? Because a lot of ships had those.
Yeah.
Because you could just ding, 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 ding.
I know for a fact that there was a bell on the Edmund Fitzgerald. I think it's one of the only things that has been taken out of the lake since it wrecked.
Okay.
So
I'll try to get everybody together, and as we're going, I will try to make as much headway of getting as many people out as possible. Like I will own up to taking that like final plea and be like, yeah, we'll do it best we can. I promise.
Whenever Coop asks, how do we know where they are? I think the captain kind of looks you straight in the eyes and kind of like takes a hold of your shoulders and says, you may not be able to see them, but you can hear them and they can hear you.
Oh.
So like hot and cold. Got it.
Yeah, okay. Like a game, let's play that. Yeah, absolutely. Hot and cold.
This isn't a game, Oak. There are lives at stake.
He puts his hands on his little hips. I love it so much. Sorry, his hand on his little hips. Oh my God, incredible. So great.
I love us so much. This is great.
There's lives at stake.
I imagine there's all sorts of like grime and like oil and like Oak's hair is just completely water soaked. There's no hairspray in this at all anymore. He's just waterlogging, and he'll be the one this time to like head the charge out of the room at least. And then he will look back to Billy and see like the hulking werewolf form and be like, buddy, are you gonna be good? Do we have to? Should you go first? Because that way, at least you're ahead of us. And then, like, if you do lose control, you're ahead of us, and you don't like that doesn't happen.
So when you say, do you want to go first, just in case, like, he's not willing to wait around for the lengthy conversation. He just jumped ahead.
Go ahead, yeah.
And I imagine, the fact that there's water down below and what have, like, he's probably taking much larger steps and diving in and all that.
All right. So as we begin the rush from the bridge, I think the last thing that we see are the broken pieces of this glass float sitting on the ground, and we see Jessica exiting the door. But in the way that these pieces are arranged, we see 3 Jessicas exit the door. And I think that's where we're going to take our break.
Oh, sorry. Bad advice.
Oh, man. We were just joking about Smitty.
Come on, they had to be honest about one thing.
There you go.
That's
And
just
that
silly.
was the thing. Tisk tisk.
All right.
Amazing.
We'll be back in about 10 minutes. See you on the other side.
Do you want to say something, Jim? Or no? Should I say something?
And we're back.
There you go.
That's it.
I'm not driving this ship.
Oh,
Nobody's driving this ship.
Except God.
Just the way I like it. Tyler Durden. So we see, in fact, that no one is driving this ship, as it has no power. There is no purpose in driving this ship. It is being thrown about the incredibly tempest-filled seas. Well, not seas, lake water. That is this black, eerie, capped with green, as it crashes into the side of the ship, almost like menacing hands, like trying to turn something over violently. Hand stuff. Hashtag hand stuff. Yep. We see the ship is clearly separating in the middle rapidly. Pieces of steel are being twisted away as if they were nothing more than tissue paper. The power of this elemental natural force is wreaking utter destruction upon the Edmund Fitzgerald, and we see the two ends are starting to raise in the water, as if being folded in half. And as we move back to the interior of this ship, we see people running this way and that, trying their best to get to high ground, to get to some form of flotation, trying their best to get out of the ship. But we also see our group of heroes making their way through the ship, mostly downhill, if you will, and nearly every compartment that you enter, you find yourselves in deeper and deeper water. In no time, you are likely going to have to start swimming.
Are we like going the right way? I feel like the water should be getting shallower, not deeper.
We're like heading into the down part.
Yeah, we have to go down to go back up. So like if both pieces are cracking in the center.
Carrie knows this. Rosie
Yes.
is concerned.
Rosie is concerned.
Yes.
I think
Jessica's talking out of her ass.
Aren't we all?
I think Oak would be like, if we gotta hurry, we just get across, and then back up, and we'll be all right. How much time we have, I don't know. And we'll bolt. Oak is gonna bolt as fast as he can. He is not a werewolf, but he is clicking along as fast as he can with his little legs.
Well, remember too that Billy's leading us, like the
doggy paddling through in it.
I think before we get into the too deep water, I think that's where Claire, getting out of that really bizarre situation, helps her to be a little more grounded and focus on the reality of what's happening. And I think I would kind of quickly move to where Jessica is and grab hold of her arm and to get her attention. We need to get these off. If we don't, they're going to fill with water and they're going to drag us under. As I take off the coat that I had on and indicate the waders that we're wearing. If these are just going to fill up with water.
Yeah,
and start
Jessica
undoing mine.
Nods and starts undoing hers as well. I assume back down, like now they are back with the cold feet as they take their feet out of the waders.
Well, before long, it's not just your feet that are cold anymore, because it's like up to your navels for most of you. For the littles, it might be bobbing time on, like on your tiptoes along.
Can Jessica help either Oak or Coop kind of across so that they can conserve some of their energy so they don't have to start swimming yet? So I imagine
Absolutely.
Jessica just takes a Coop by the shoulder and just kind of like walks him along.
I'll snag Oak by the shirt. Less gracefully and kindly, but just like, come on.
Oh, Rosie.
Yeah.
When you do so, I think that Oak's, let's face it, a clip-on bow tie comes undone, and that hourglass necklace slides out from his shirt. Rosie, you recognize this piece of jewelry. This used to belong to Claire a long time ago.
Like a specific long time ago? Like another other long time ago?
Like when the two of you were friends.
Okay.
Like you saw it in her room.
I imagine like Rosie stops like suddenly. It's like, where did you get that?
I'm being held aloft, like my feet like in knees in water.
Yeah.
Well, remember the key I had?
Sure.
I found, put it in a lock, opened it up, found it, found the thing, figured it was important, kept it.
Claire. And Rosie, like, it's kind of in the water, so Rosie just like turns him around and like points. Like, isn't that yours?
Is it? Because if it is, I'm sorry I took it.
I just imagine a moment of like, what are you talking about? And then, wait a minute. And sort of, when you're trying to move fast through waist deep water, that sort of, and kind of reach up to where you're holding Oak. And why do you have my necklace?
I don't know, but also, I'm pretty sure that the witches talked about an hourglass of regret, so I just saw an hourglass and I grabbed it. So I don't know. Maybe. Why is it yours? And also, why would you have an hourglass on a pirate ship? That's also yours.
I let it go.
As you let him go, I'm still holding on to this necklace. Would that pop the chain then?
Probably. I think that makes sense. Chad, are you willing to give that up that easily?
I mean, sure. At this point, yeah. I don't want to get choked. I don't think Oak wants to get choked out, but at the same time, he's a collector of baubles at this point. So he's like, ooh, shiny thing. I don't want to lose that.
Just a freaking total klepto.
I think Billy would notice that they've stopped moving, and he would kind of like lope back towards them, like, we don't have time for arguments.
He's right. Let's go. We can talk about it later when we're off of this sinking ship.
I'm just gonna wrap the broken chain kind of around my hand and just hold this thing in my hand. This weirdly becomes like a focal point, an anchor, if you will. Something from my own life. Regardless of how it got here, it's something that I know. And like it's becoming instantly like this thing that I can hold on to that's like a tether to the real world.
Rosie grabs Oak again, but more gently, and helps him pull through the water.
While Jessica's pulling Coop through the water, he's reaching out. He's trying to ping the rest of the crew. And what is it? He's not necessarily asking questions per se. He's, what is it? Because he at first thought we have to try to find them, but then he's like, they know the ship better than we do, is what he's thinking. So Coop is just going to be sending out a beacon that basically is repeating over and over again that says make your way up top to the bulkhead. Is that what that's called?
How? Or oh. No.
Yeah, to the bulkhead door.
Yeah. Make your way up to the bulkhead door. Quickly. Go to the bulkhead door. Not the one where the bridge is. The other one.
Coop, can I please get a charm roll from you?
Ooh, sure. Ugh, my eyes. All right, that's a 17 on the die,
Ooh.
which is going to make that a 18.
Okay, excellent. So you reach out and you feel an almost immediate connection to 24 or more people who start trying to communicate with you. You know, they ask you questions like, where is it located? What does it look like? You can tell that they're responding to you, and they feel panicked. They feel desperate. They feel like there is no questioning or hesitation with what's going on, even as strange as it might be to have someone just begin speaking to them in their heads. But more than that, you feel other voices, other minds. Again, this fathom that you felt whenever you first arrived, these 20,000-30,000 individuals. But now they're not talking over one another. They're not competing for your attention. They seem curious. And as you make your way deeper into the ship, all of you start seeing more and more of these ghosts that appear. Some of them are pirates, but not all of them. You see sailors from all bygone eras that have sailed here on the lakes, and they all kind of come out of the walls and the ceilings and the floors, and they just kind of stop and they're watching you, Coop, in particular. You can tell that they can see you and that they can hear you. One of them kind of falls into step beside Jessica as she's carrying you, and not with his mouth, but speaking to you in his brain. He says, "Let us help. Let us guide them. Someone can make it out of this place alive."
Yes, please. And Coop turns to Jessica and says, this nice glowing ghost man is going to help us.
Jessica looks over. Does she see the glowing man?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as you turn, there's literally just some like bearded, scruffy looking dude just like matching step with you, just kind of staring intently at Coop.
God.
It's like
You see Jessica just kind of turn Coop to look at him. Are you like, you're sure?
He seems nice, and they all seem like they want to help. There's a lot of them.
It's like that scene at the end in Ghostbusters when the containment system releases all the ghosts. In a weird moment, Claire just dropping some like movie reference.
I have never had more respect for Claire.
Okay, Coop, when you kind of agree, when you give them this task, you watch as these sailors run off in various directions, And throughout the rest of your journey, you see them at like the top and bottom of stairs, at intersections, at bends in the hallway, at open bulkheads, and they're literally like making like hand signals, like trying to point. And we see as the audience is all of the rest of these living sailors, the crew of the Edmund Fitzgerald, are getting themselves turned around in the darkness and in the rising water. And then all of a sudden they'll look over and they see one of these ghosts. And at first the reactions are what you would expect, disbelief, fear. But then they start understanding that this is not a bad situation, especially because you're able to communicate with them mentally. And we start watching as there is a accumulation of these sailors, these crew that are starting to worm their way through the interiors of the ship, that it's going to converge with your path. They are bringing them to you. What I would like to know is, what is the situation where Claire has to suddenly offer a hand to Rosie?
Jake, I'll let you weave this one.
I think as they're moving through and across this broken ship and sort of watching as the ghosts are lining up and leading the way, there's going to be a point where the ship's listing all over the place. It's taking on water. Waves are still crashing. I think there's a moment where we've already established that Claire has experience on smaller boats, sailboats, yachts with her family. And I think she's faring a little bit better with handling just the odd rocking of the ship. And there's a moment where a swell sort of comes rushing through. The water gets deeper. Rosie, with her broken collarbone, you make a grab for like a railing or something and you miss it. And you make another desperate grab and it's just all you see is boom, you grab hold of, and Claire has grabbed hold of a railing or something and had reached out and grabbed hold of you almost instinctively. And there's just this weird moment, that kind of like we're holding hands, looking eye to eye, and then starts pulling you in.
Yeah.
It's as your hands clasp and your eyes meet one another that we see the hourglass pendant between your palms. Jake, I would like to know, how many seconds or minutes of sand does this hourglass contain?
That's a good question. It's 2. I rolled a d12. It's a 2-minute timer.
2 minutes. Okay. When the two of you are both touching this in between your hands,
yeah, because I have it in my hand.
Hand stuff. We hear this kind of stretch of a noise, and we find the two of you together in a different moment, a long time ago. I imagine probably in Claire's bedroom. The two of you are still friends. Now, I'm going to read to you exactly what this item does. It allows two people touching it to travel back to any moment they were together before and possibly relive how they see fit. In this new version of things, however, the hourglass is present, even if it was not before, and you retain your memories. It lasts for one turn of the hourglass, which we now knows is 2 minutes. And once the sand runs out, that's it. So, What is happening in this scene?
This is the resolution of my D100 roll like 2 sessions ago, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Is that right? Oh, damn. Wow.
I was gonna say, Carrie, I know kind of what I think it should be the moment, but I'm almost positive you're probably thinking the same thing. Maybe. But I want you to set the scene.
So I guess just to set the scene, you said we're probably in Claire's room.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. But it don't have to be. If you think something is better, more fitting.
I guess we are. I imagine Rosie is like laying on Claire's bed like sideways, and she's like hanging, like dangling upside down over the edge of it, and she's reading a Sports Illustrated magazine. And Rosie just kind of has her legs crossed and like one foot on her knee, and she's just kind of like bouncing her foot. And I kind of imagine that it's almost summertime, and they're kind of talking about how excited they are for the summer and all the fun stuff they're gonna do, and kind of telling all those wonderful inside jokes and just laughing, and spirits are as high as they can be. I'll pass the baton to Jake.
Question for the GM. We're reliving the moment, this moment in time, but are we aware that we're reliving a moment?
Yes. You possess all of your current memories.
Oh, shit.
Again, it's kind of a...
Yeah, I wanted to clarify that.
State.
Clarify.
Yes.
Stop it, you.
I didn't intend that. It just came out, and I was like, So with that, Carrie, still with the senior setting, if you want to be the one to realize...
So I imagine like as Rosie's like sitting there and talking, she stops mid-sentence, and the Sports Illustrated falls to the floor. And she's like looking at Claire, and she's still upside down, and then she kind of like rolls over onto her stomach and is like, what is this?
I'm looking around, and then glancing. I almost picture, maybe not fully acknowledging it, but just that this hourglass pendant is there, almost with like an extra sheen to it, you know, that dreamlike thing, and it's almost like you can faintly hear the shh of the sand, and looking around, and then looking almost with sadness and regret at you, Rosie, and going, this is it, isn't it?
And Rosie looks, and that same kind of sadness washes over her. And she just said, this is the last summer we were friends.
This was the night that it all started to unravel.
Yeah.
Why are we here?
I don't know. Are we dead already? Did the ship go down or something? What? And if so, why am I here with you?
I don't know, but I can't explain anything that's been happening since the dance. And you and the others, you all just... It just seems to not faze you. You're just so present.
There's been a lot that's happened, Claire, that we can't tell you about.
But all of you are looking out for each other.
Yeah, we are.
Billy Stapler turned into a werewolf.
Yeah, he did.
And now he's trying to lead us to safety along with ghosts.
Yep.
Just making sure I'm
Yeah, we're both seeing it all right. And we're both seeing this.
So this is not the weirdest thing I've seen today.
No. And Rosie I imagine she kind of like sprang to her feet and like is standing in this room. And she sort of like sits back on the bed. And she just kind of says like, I wish we could just go back here.
But we are. How much time is left in the hourglass?
I was going to say, we see that the time is almost finished. It's probably 3/4 of the way run.
And I say that, but we are. And suddenly almost realizing that just the gravity of this and maybe sensing somehow that there's not much time, running over to Rosie where you're sitting on the edge of the bed and going, I was jealous. You were starting to make the sports teams, and you are so good, and you were making all new friends. You were starting to make a whole new group of friends. All of the other jocks. And I was jealous, and I knew I was going to lose you, because that's what happens after middle school, or after 7th grade, 8th grade. People always start to drift apart, and I don't know why I said it. I was just angry, and I'm sorry.
Rosie looks for just a second like she's confused, and like this is like it. This is just like honestly probably like the biggest relief that Rosie has ever felt. And she just hugs Claire and doesn't say anything. I
want to say one thing, if you'll allow it, Jeremy.
Please.
Because it's actually going to break not the game, what's the word I'm looking for? Iteration. It's going to cross iterations. As you hug Claire and she's hugging you and tears are streaming down her face, her face is, your faces are close together, and she says, but I don't understand. I drove us apart when I talked and made fun of the fact that your mom was dead. But she's not. Your mom is the principal of the school, but she died.
As that's happening, is that when we come out of the vision?
That's what I was going to say. Absolutely. We see the last grain of sand, like on a micro level, just like, and then falls through.
What's the last thing? What's the last thing, Jake?
I think that's just it. She says that how can both things be true? And then, like Jeremy said, there's just that last grain, and I just imagine it's that sort of and right back to where we're holding hands in the moment the thing happened, and we're still looking at each other. And with every ounce of strength that I have, every last bit of D6 plus 1 brawn, I'm going to continue to pull Rosie with this free hand, but I'm going to pull you forward and kind of grab hold of you. Half in a hug and half in a we got to get the hell out of here.
Rosie just looks, and like in that moment, like all that's just happened is kind of like back into this like microcosm, and she just kind of like says thanks. That's it.
And you get this kind of half confused but sincere smile. And I imagine, at least for Claire, any tears are lost in the wash of snow and rain and surf. Question. Do we know that it was because of this hourglass? Do we specifically know that?
I think so. Because I think that from what the two of you remember of the moment that you revisited, the hourglass was not there. So you have kind of two versions of the memory, but they both kind of exist at the same time. And the way that it went the first time without the hourglass, and the way that it went this time with the presence of the hourglass.
Last question, and whatever the answer is, do I know if this is a one-time thing or if this possibly can be used again? Or is that something I have to discover?
Might be something you'll have to discover.
Fair enough.
Okay. So what I would like to do now is for each one of you to give us one minor obstacle, one other thing that happens that the group has to overcome, just narratively described, on your final leg to reach this bulkhead.
I imagine there's a part when we are almost at the depths of the lowest point of where we need to go until we're coming back up on the other side, that one of the windows, we hear the sound of cracking glass as the pressure is becoming too great against it. Was never meant to have this kind of pressure on it, and we hear the sound of the spider webbing kind of growing in the glass, and then all of a sudden it breaks and cold water comes rushing in full force against us.
As that happens, I think Rosie would probably try to grasp for Oak or Coop, whichever one's closer to her. Just try to get him, keep the littles from getting just swept away,
sucked out the portholes,
or anywhere else. It's just the water is just such a whoosh that it's very powerful.
I would have grabbed, because I imagine they're probably all over the place, or we would have seen them at some point, either some life preservers or a couple of those round life preservers like you'd find on a railing of the ship. In particular with the rope, and maybe give the life preserver in particular to since Rosie's helping with the littles, just sort of, here, have them hold on to this. And then start moving through the group, and kind of as I pass each person, giving them the rope, part of the rope to hold on to. And then there's this weird moment where I get to Wolf Billy and just kind of
Excuse me.
And just kind of hesitantly take this. Everybody's holding on to it.
I don't know how Billy, is handling, the water and stuff. I mean, he's really flipping strong in this form, so I don't think he's got too much of a problem swimming. But if I'm still in control of myself, then I would take it just for the sake of being a part of the team.
This is good peer pressure.
So I think one of the obstacles that we wind up having to deal with is through all of the sloshing of water and what have you. Laz and Carson have been separated. So we get there and there's Laz and he's floating around, but we have to go find Carson.
I'd like to build on that. Once we discover that Laz is still tethered and floating, and Carson's missing, and we, and it's become apparent that we have to search around for where Carson is. That's when the two have snap.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh no.
They had to break apart at some point. This is the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say on building even on top of that, I think at some point when it does snap, when we're at the very bottom of the wake pool that is building, I imagine that some form of a rope or tether or something that has been attached to some rigging. There's a couple of loose ropes that just sort of dangle down from adjacent pieces that are now jutting, that are basically like a wall climb in this like vertical space of the one piece that is now left standing that we know we have to get to the bulkhead on, and it's like not quite vertical but almost vertical, where you have to basically do the wall climb with the wet rope to get up it. Yeah, so I imagine that that's something that is going to become a task here shortly.
So I think seeing this wall climb, Billy, with your permission there, Mr. GM, uses his claws and just scratches grooves so you guys have footholds.
Oh, what a stud. MVP. MVP.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're kind of moving through this, we see more and more of the crewmen of the Edmund Fitzgerald kind of find your group. Your paths cross and they go with you. And so you see like 1, 2, a handful here and there, but then you run across like a small section. Actually, we'll say it's the mess hall again. You run across the mess hall, and this is kind of like a convergence point for a lot of different paths of egress. And there's like a knot of these guys kind of standing around talking animatedly. And when your group kind of enters one side, the group of them kind of turn. And one of them takes like a half step forward and he says, "Which one of you is Kenneth?"
Oh.
You?
Kenneth.
The werewolf points down to the little boy.
Hello, I'm Kenneth Cooper, sir.
He kind of comes over to you and he reaches his hand out. It's easily probably 3 to 4 times the size of Coop's hand. I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, your captain said that they wanted us to make sure that everybody got out safely.
They all kind of nod. That sounds like Captain McSorley. He's a good man.
I don't know how we're gonna get out of here safely.
Let's we'll work together. And you said you kind of knew a way out, so we're gonna follow you. I think that there's a very clear moment where in this room full of adults, like Coop has the room.
Wow.
Coop doesn't want the room. Coop's just kind of he's awkward and shuffling in the standing water. And
I put my hand on Coop's shoulder and like squeeze.
Well, this is very hard to explain, but at this point, I'm sure a lot of you have seen things that are very hard to explain anyways. But somehow that door is supposed to be magic. and a way out. I don't know how or why.
There's a couple of the sailors that kind of like, you can see that this explanation is not what they were hoping for. They're kind of like, oh. And the one that kind of stepped forward says, no, he's right. We've seen some really weird shit. I mean, some weird stuff. So, I mean, there's a ghost standing in the corner.
You're standing in the room with a ghost and a werewolf. It's a magic door that much out of the realm of possibility.
The rest of them kind of like stymie their racket. And again, they kind of fall into a line, behind your group, behind Coop.
I think.
And the guy leans forward and he says, "We're with you."
Okay. I don't know that much about this stuff, but I feel like Oak should open the door.
Me? What me?
Because you're the time guy.
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean that makes sense, I guess. I look, and I'm like remembering. Okay, but do me a favor. If we go through one at a time, single file, never together.
Why?
Right? Just listen to me. Single file, never together. I don't know why that's important, but I feel like it's very important. So just trust me.
Okay.
Any day now.
I open the door and file on through. I think Oak will actually stay at the foot of the door and like watch as people file in, because he knows that the door is open. He wants to be the last one through the door.
Oak, you reach up and you grab a hold of the wheel in the center of this bulkhead. And you
I forgot it was a giant ass wheel. I'm like over here thinking it's a door handle.
Big
forearm strength.
Bulkhead with a big brass wheel in its center.
I've already climbed a rope. I am 100% like gassed at gym class level. Just yep.
You're pulling on this, and at first it's just not going anywhere, but then it gives under your strength, and as it's spinning, it's kind of sliding through your hands a little bit, and you feel like a strange sensation every time the wheel kind of seems to get to one specific part in your hand, and it's sort of cyclical because it's literally going around in a circle. And I think at some part we might see this dawn on your face, and you feel like a strange familiarity with the resonance of this particular orientation.
So at some point, the kids around, and even the adults will hear him kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, counting like the spokes in the wheel as it hits the fourth. Every time it hits the fourth, it's like 4.
Rosie leans to Jessica and goes, "He snapped. It finally happened.
We're all gonna die."
Mm-hmm. This is it.
Yep.
I move up to Jessica, and we have to trust in our friends, and I'll reach out a meaty paw or claw or whatever and take your hand in mine.
It just like envelops Jessica's entire, and maybe even some of her wrists.
He could probably palm your head in this form. Like,
this is like
I love you.
1980s masterpiece theater level like werewolf nonsense, and I love it so much.
I kind of like the idea that even though he's a werewolf, it's still just Billy's voice that comes out.
Yeah. No, it's not.
There's no growl of nothing. It's just Billy's voice.
It's just Billy. He's like, yeah, whatever.
I think as Rosie says that about he's losing it, I just look and go, no. He's counting patterns. He sees something. I don't know what it is, but he does.
Yeah, so after a while, after we've counted this, I'm waiting for the right moment to stop it, right? To stop the cycle. So when that hits, you tell me, but when I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna stop the inertia and pull back and open the door.
Okay. You get this instinct for the rhythm of this, and then when it passes, you stop, you clench your hand to stop the turn of the wheel. And there's that kind of, again, that resonance of familiarity. There is something here that is like almost like a core memory that you can't quite grasp. And you pull the door open, and we see water, the ankle deep, calf deep water here, like roll forward and spill into and out of the lighthouse on the beach near Paradise. And out in the bay, in the lake, we can see a massive stormy tempest that is tossing the waves, and on it the broken pieces of the Evangeline. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh, you know what they call this? A full circle. Oh my God. That was so good. Oh, Jeremy. That was great. Well done.
So good.
That was incredible. Fantastic.
Off of the scary thinking boat into the past.
It's all right. You've been here before.
Yeah, maybe. Right?
Well, most of you have been here before.
Oh, Jesus. Claire's going to have a complex.
We're going to break her.
It's going to happen.
So man, my question is...
Yeah.
Are you still going, Jeremy?
So this is basically the end of what I had planned.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know, if this was the handoff or not.
Mm-hmm. The intention was the crewmen will become founders of Paradise.
Oh, that's great. Is Jeremy going to play Claire now for a couple sessions?
Oh, that's also a good point.
Yeah.
One of the crewmen should be one of the crewmen, or because I don't think any of us were, one of the crewmen should be carrying Laz and Carson out.
I've got Carson.
Yeah.
Laz is at the bottom of Lake Superior. His metal body sank straight down.
For weeks I've been saying that's a Jeremy problem, but everything falls back to me now.
You're welcome.
In addition, what I would like to do is, before we play our next session, so as much, if at all possible, sometime between now and next Thursday, that we can all meet for even an hour and start to talk about the second edition rules and what we want to do with that as we go into this next arc. But before we move into the final closings, I want to say a huge thank you to Jeremy.
Well done, Jeremy.
For this incredible little side thing that we did. It was just a wacky idea that I had, and it's been a lot of fun to get to play for a little bit and not have to plan any stories for a little bit, and let Jeremy kind of run things and tell a unique story. And it was a challenge at times to not just go, no, that's not how that works, or this is the rule for this, and just go, no, this is not for me to say.
Yeah. It's great.
So yeah,
great.
It was fantastic.
I had a blast.
And
thank you so much for the opportunity.
we'll I don't even know how to figure this out. Something, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Where did it go?
All kinds
okay,
of new happenings.
See if I can do this. And we're back.
Oh, hey. Look at there.
There we go.
All has been righted.
All has been restored.
Oh, there we go.
No fancy transition because I had no idea when we were gonna end or how we were gonna end. So, but no, seriously, thank you, Jeremy. I had no doubts that you would be able to take us on an incredible story, and it's also a unique challenge in that you were taking over a story that was already in motion and completely diverting it off its path that it was on. I mean, the story was going places. We had gotten to the big dance. Stuff has happened that still has to be resolved, but now we're in 1970s, and now apparently we're in 1885, maybe. So, but this was what I wanted to have you take us wherever and do whatever with the world. So,
good.
Yeah, thank
with,
you.
With time travel, we could still get back to that night potentially, and still have whatever.
Potentially could get back and maybe even stop the EMPs. But I digress. I'm no longer a player in your party. I'm the game master, so I don't want to give you any ideas.
Transition is tough.
Yep. No, so yeah, huge thank you, Jeremy, but also to everybody here at the table for going along with this. This took everybody's everybody's willingness to go along for this ride, and so fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to everybody who tuned in with us tonight. Special shout out to my buddy Doghammer, who gave up watching sports to hang out with us tonight, but also he is a fellow veteran of the Coast Guard who was absolutely judging our nautical endeavors every step of the way.
Hey, I'm just a kid.
And yeah, so thank you to everybody, and thank you if you're somebody who likes to lurk quietly in the background, or maybe you're watching on the VODs later. We appreciate you and hope you enjoy our presentations. And finally, just a huge thank you to this amazing group of players. That this was our 49th episode. So when we switch to second edition, it will be our 50th episode, actually.
Awesome.
Just coincidence there. But yeah, cool. This has just been an incredible journey with all of you, and we've got so much more story to tell as long as you are willing to let us run your characters around this weird world. So as always, a huge thank you to Chad, Tamiko, Carrie, Ted, Jeremy, and Em, without whom this would have just been Jeremy talking to himself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want.
I'll go.